Alright, guys. It's New Year's Day. And that means it's time to do my yearly review on the preceding year. We entered 2026. So this year I'm going to do a review on 2025. How was my 2025? Well, you guys are about to find out. I'm going to do what I've done for my other reviews, 2021 through 2024. And I'm just going to go through the months in the order they happen in. And I'll talk about, the best and worst moments of each month. So yeah. Starting off with January. My January was okay. I mean, it started off pretty decent. I had a lot of motivation and inspiration to write on Wattpad and to get some Valentine's Day pictures done, because I know Valentine's Day isn't until February, but I decided to go ahead and get some pictures done for it during January, because I knew it would help me get through the month. But towards the end of January, I did start to feel a little off. There's just something about January, guys. I don't know, it's just, I tend to feel very anxious during this month, I'm not even though I'm not really a superstitious person, but I also consider January my bad luck month, It's just the month where a lot of shit happens, and then I always feel hyper vigilant during this month, Nature's drab. There's nothing much going on, There's just usually not a lot going on for me during January. If anything, the stuff that does go on just annoys me and pisses me off and messes with me. So, yeah. There are some things I'm looking forward to, this January that we're in right now. We have the Animal Crossing update, and I have a Social Security appointment coming up. But usually January is just, to be honest. I might do a rant video on why I hate January. It seems like an interesting rant to do. I don't really do much videos anymore where I just talk to the camera. Unless I'm doing a New Year's Eve live stream or a New Year's review. But I do want to go back to doing it. Even if it's not all the time. It would be nice to do them here and there. But yeah. Nothing really much to say about January. It was just the usual boringness of January. February was a bit better. I mean, it was a bit off. It was a bit weird because my grandma on my dad's side, she was having problems with her eye. So she had to get, and I think it was invasive surgery. She had to get surgery on her eye. And then she had to look down the entire time for a few days during it was weird. And their dog had to come over for a little over a week, and I get stressed out when he's over here And I wasn't sure when he was going home, so that kind of, or when he was going back with my grandparents, so that stressed me out even more. But things I did like about February is, well, it was the month of Valentine's Day. Not just Valentine's Day itself, but my friend Ashton, he was releasing daily pictures of his OC ships, which some OC ships we actually share, because it's my OC with his OCs, or because some of the shared ships we have together, we ship some of our OCs together, so some of them actually involved my original characters as well. And he decided to make an interesting guessing game out of it, where he would have me and Purple Ethan guess about what ship was being drawn based on certain numbers. For example, back in September 2022, him and I started shipping my OC Sunny with his OC Alec. So, February of last year, I predicted that he would release the picture of them two together on February 9th, because September's the 9th month of the year, and I ended up being right. So yeah, that was really fun, It was fun to, guess what pictures were, what ships he was gonna really, draw and, really send each day, and, the reasons why we think he chose that ship to release. It was just a fun little game he had us play. But yeah, nothing much to say for March. But I do remember there was a Nintendo Direct. And, there were some games that I, was interested in. One of them being Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, which it'll come out in the spring. Hope to talk a little bit about that next year when I do a review in 2026. But, yeah, and the other game was Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which is a remaster of Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar. And, I'll get more into the game, because it came out in August, but, it was nice knowing that we got games announced that I knew I was gonna enjoy, or at least try to play. Other than that, I don't really remember much from March. Now, April was one of my best months last year. April's not usually a highlight month for me, In 2024, it was okay, it was actually pretty eventful, but it ended kind of disastrously. But, April of 2025, like I said, it was really good. My friend Green Ethan, we started to do premieres together again and live streams. And it was nice getting back into that. My dad had his hip surgery. My grandma bought me a lavender blanket. You can actually kind of see it. Yeah, it was just a good month. My grandparents also took me to see a movie, The King of Kings. So yeah, it was just an interesting month. My dad also took me to one of this weird ass appointment he had. Like I think it was like an orthopedic appointment, and like there was this weird waiting room. I don't know why, but it was just amusing for some reason. Like there was like a TV on our end, and then there was like, and it was playing these weird commercials, and then there was another TV across the waiting room, and it was like, and I can, yeah, and it was like weird, like I could hear it from all the way on the other side. It was just a bizarre place. I know you guys are thinking to yourselves, and what's the big deal? And I don't know, guys, I'm just easily amused, okay? Plus, I was just in a good mood in general because I was having a good April. But yeah, April was just a nice month. Now for May, I'm actually drawing a huge blank for May. I literally do. I'm literally trying to remember it. The only thing I do remember is Mother's Day. You know, my friend Ashton, he drew me a. Ugh, I can't speak. He drew me a Mother's Day gift with him and I, and Eli also drew me a Mother's Day gift with Ashton and I, because Ashton sees me as a mother, and you know, Eli really, you know, enjoys the bond we share, just as I also enjoy Ashton and Eli's bond as well. But yeah, I know, I just don't really remember much from May. My dad and my brother went to a Counter-Strike thing. I think it was like in either Austin or Dallas. I don't remember, but that could have been at the end of May. But then again, that could have been at the beginning of June. I'm trying to remember, but you know, that was pretty nice, you know. My grandparents got me some yummy food. You know, I like it when just my dad and my brother go out for like a few days, because, you know, it's nice having the house to myself for a little bit. And then June was pretty good as well. The ending of June was a little bit rough, but everything else about it was pretty good. I had a dentist appointment, you know. You know how I feel about dentist appointments, you know. They're very nerve-wracking for me, but the one I had did go well for the most part, and that was June 5th. That was actually the same day the Nintendo Switch 2s came in. So after my dentist appointment, I took a nap for a little bit, and then I woke up to find how that they came in. So, you know, my brother, I believe he helped me get mine hooked up. So that was a pretty good day. And then we had my birthday, June 9th. Usually we don't actually go to my grandparents on my birthday. We usually do it like the weekend before or like the weekend after, but since my dad was off for a while because of his hip, you know, he went off of work like a little, like, you know, I believe in February, and then he returned in August, you know, because he needed some time, you know, before and after like the surgery to just kind of stay off of it. So, but on June 9th, we went over to Five Guys and picked up lunch, and then we took it over to my nana's and we ate Five Guys, we swimmed. I opened presents, and Ashton drew me a picture for my birthday. He's actually been drawing me more pictures because he said he had more planned, but he never got around to it. But he decided to go ahead and just release them as late birthday pictures technically, which is really nice of him. Ashton, I don't know if you're watching this, but thank you so much again for all the awesome stuff you've been drawing for me. And then on June 12th, I went to the DPS for the first time. Because I was trying to get my ID and my dad was trying to get his license, but we didn't have enough of the necessary documents in order to do so. And even my dad, he was not able to get his driver's license either, so we had to make another appointment. And I didn't even know about when exactly the appointment was. I was kind of I spent the next 12 or 11 the next 11 days kind of stressing about it. But thankfully my dad finally lets me know the night before the second appointment, which the second appointment was, I believe, June 24th. We gathered some more documents together for my dad's driver's license renewal and my ID, because this is my first time ever getting my ID. I haven't had my a state ID before. I've had a school ID and but not an actual state ID. And, the thing is, I don't have a social security card yet either. So I couldn't take that with me. I didn't have that to take with me, and I still don't. I'm hoping to get my social security card here pretty soon. But luckily, the second time around, I was actually approved to get my ID. I signed some signatures, I took some fingerprints, I took a picture. And as all that was happening, I just felt so good. I was like, oh my goodness. I think I'm finally going to get my ID. I think I'm finally going to get it, guys. It was just a good day for me. And then after that, we picked up my brother and we went and ate at Huddle House. It was the morning, but it was still in the morning, but the thing is, Huddle House actually serves the full menu all day, so I just had a burger and fries. But yeah, that was a very good day for me. Now, the end of June was a little bit rough. I don't want my brother to hear me, so I'm just gonna kind of mumble it. But my brother had a friend come over back at the end of June, and it just kind of bummed me out because when someone else has friends coming over and you're still waiting to make local friends or whatever, even though this friend lives 5 miles away, but still it kind of makes you feel lonely and left out. And it's kind of disruptive too, because he came and he spent the night in the living room, and and it kind of fucks you over when them being in the way like that. So Yeah, June had a bit of a rough end, but the other parts were really good. But yeah, I don't want to stay on the topic too long because I don't want my brother to hear me. But yeah, Green Ethan, Ashton, and Purple Ethan. I think you all know a bit more of the context. But yeah, and July. July was actually another highlight month for me, along with April. You know, it was just a fun time. My dad, you know, was still off of work. He didn't return to work until August, so we were running errands a lot. We were he and my grandparents were getting started on turning the patio into a sunroom. So and yeah, so we were going to, like, you know, we were going to Lowe's, and we were going to, I believe, At Home. I don't know that, like, I don't know the name of the store, but the logo is like a blue house shape, and then like it says At Home. I think we went over there as well. Yeah, I didn't go in, but yeah, I think I remember staying in the car and with my brother, and my dad just went in. But yeah, and then yeah, it's hard to explain. It was just a, a fun and a bit eventful. You know, there was a lot going on, and yeah, August. You know, August was pretty similar to July, just not as eventful, but it was still pretty good. I don't really remember much from August either. And you know, September was pretty good as well. I got a haircut on the 18th, and the 20th was a blast. The 20th is when we had a party. It was like an outside party, but the sunroom wasn't finished yet. But, you know, my dad cooked food. I think my grandma, she brought deviled eggs. We played cornhole, card games with my my grandparents and my cousins, and you know, it was just a fun family party. Cause it wasn't just my brother's 20th birthday. Well, on September 22nd, but it was, my grandma also had an 80th birthday coming up. She had an 80th birthday coming up, and it was just 2 days before my brother's 25th birthday. And I think my cousin Taylor had a birthday, like, and I think it was like the same day as like the anniversary that my dad was at his work company. So yeah, there was just a lot of stuff, like a lot of things to celebrate. So it was like a compound party, for lack of a better term. October, it was a bit of a mixed bag. My grandparents went on vacation, so their dog had to come over for about a week and a half, and which was a bit stressful at times. But my dad also played a lot of Mario Galaxy, which Green Ethan's now doing a Let's Play on Mario Galaxy. And then he also got a little bit into Mario Galaxy 2, and Green Ethan is almost gonna do Mario Galaxy 2. So yeah. it was fun watching him play. And I'll get into Green Ethan in a little bit as well. And then it was nice, because I started to realize that even though it wasn't daylight savings in ending time yet, I realized that the nights were starting to get a little bit longer. The sunsets were happening earlier and earlier. I know a lot of people don't like the longer nights, but I personally do like the longer nights. Now, the end of October, it was really good. I won't mention their names in case they want to keep things private, but 2 of my friends did start dating on October 29th. Because they are also like really, really, really good friends. So, I was very happy for them, which I still am. And then October 30th, we got an announcement for another Animal Crossing update. It was Animal Crossing 3.0, and then they're also gonna release a Switch 2 version that runs better and it has better graphics. And it was an announcement that was pretty much shadow dropped, we didn't really know anything in advance. They just kind of shadow dropped it. All right, in a couple of hours, we're gonna release this Nintendo Direct on the 3.0 Animal Crossing update. I actually like shadow drops because it makes for a bigger surprise. Which can be more exciting than simply knowing a little bit and in advance. So yeah, I actually really like it when people just suddenly say, okay, this will happen very soon, or okay, this is happening right now. And Halloween was a pretty interesting day. It was a pretty good day. My dad and I, we went to Dollar General and got some candy. Then we went and got McDonald's for lunch. And we decided to not hand out candy to trick-or-treaters because my dad knew me and my brother were not really gonna stay on top of everything. And my dad, he likes to chill out. He likes to wind down and just chill out, pretty early during the day. So we decided to not do Halloween this year again. We didn't do it last year either. Technically the year before, because, in 2024 either, because, it was because my grandparents' dog was over here. Surprise, surprise. But we didn't do it again, this past, 2025 either, because me and my brother, we simply do not really care about handing candy to trick-or-treaters. I'm sorry if that sounds selfish, but, it can get overwhelming to, keep track of everything and stuff. And, sometimes, people can be, really greedy with the candy, so we just decided to keep it for ourselves again this year. And November was pretty good as well. I was a little bit stressed out during the portion of November because, my mom was griping about me talking to her because we haven't spoken in a couple of weeks because, she has like this whole mess going on where she keeps losing her phone and she keeps having to switch her numbers. So it makes it a pain in the ass to keep in touch with her. And, she has to get my brother involved, and then, he sometimes gets mad at me for not talking to her, and sometimes my dad gets involved. Like, it was a bit of a mess, but I did enjoy Thanksgiving, and November 26th was a bittersweet day. So yeah. And then, I don't know if I mentioned this, but obviously that it's also when daylight savings time ended. Good riddance. It'll be back in March, but unfortunately, but it's nice when it does end. But yeah. Now December, oh my goodness, December was just so, it was eventful. Like, it was fun. Like, it was probably my best month I had last year. There was just so much going on. I bought some DLC for Pioneers of Olive Town, which I enjoyed. It was my friend Ashton's birthday on the 17th, so I was making stuff for him. And I was having fun doing a lot of recordings and premieres for YouTube. I had a lot of fun doing that. I finally went to Houston to see my grandparents, because the ones in the same town as me are on my dad's side of the family, but the grandparents on my mom's side of the family, they live all the way in Houston. We were going to go and see them in sometime in 2024 or June 2025, but neither of them ended up happening. So we finally went and saw them during December in 2025, last month. We picked, my mom, she can be fun, but she can also be a bit of work, like Ashton said. What we did was we picked her up from where she's staying. Then we took her with us to Mimi's. Then we, picked her, we took her back with us and dropped her off at, we actually went to Lowe's. Not the Lowe's I mentioned, not the home improvement store I mentioned for earlier, but the grocery store Lowe's. When we picked her up, we went to Lowe's in Orange Grove. Then we dropped her. We dropped her off at Dollar General, actually, coming back from Houston. Yeah. Which was also Orange Grove. And then, and I don't think she has a car right now, so she has to catch rides from people she's staying with. And then Chris. I've mentioned this Chris dude. I've mentioned him. He keeps messing with her phones, and yeah, it's just a mess, but yeah, I had fun. I love going out and seeing Mimi and Grandpa Richard. I also saw a family member I haven't met before, my Uncle Johnny, and it's always nice meeting family for the first time. We had some yummy meals together. We did some stuff outside the house. It was just nice. I've always loved going and seeing my grandparents on my mom's side. We had ham, we had Burger King breakfast, we had spaghetti. It was just fun. And then Christmas was also pretty fun. I had some ham and some rolls. I got some good presents. I got some Bath and Body Works stuff. My grandparents got me another blanket, a snowflake blanket. And my dad gave me a debit card, which is it's so much better than just a gift card. Oh my goodness, because a lot of gift cards tend to get declined online, and I don't usually use my gift cards in stores. I prefer to use them for like online and like digital related stuff. And so far, I've been able to do that because I haven't even been able to use my gift cards for on my freaking iPhone, like for like Apple products, like buying apps, game apps, and that type of stuff, or like in-app purchases. And like I would have my dad like get me like an Apple like gift card so I could put some of it, I could actually buy some stuff on my iPhone, like apps or in-app purchases, stuff like that, or Discord Nitro. But then they stopped selling the Apple gift cards for a while, so he would have to order them on Amazon. But now it looks like that is finally over. Good riddance. I don't have to have him go through the trouble anymore. I could just use the money directly from my debit card. Plus, he could just, load it periodically, every birthday or Christmas. He can just load up my debit card every 6 months until it expires, and then he can just give me a new one then, and but debit cards are a lot better than gift cards because you don't have to deal with declination issues, at least not as much, for as much online services. Then the day after Christmas, I did start to feel a little under the weather. Not like sick, but I did have a sore throat, and then, I started to develop a stuffy nose, which was at its worst 2 days ago, the day before New Year's Eve. But, it's getting better. I only have a little bit of a sore throat when I wake up now, but it gets a bit better, as I get up and around. And then, my nose isn't as stopped up as it was a couple of days ago. So I think I'm coming to the tail end of it. But, it's not like fever sick or like full-blown flu. I think it's just some common cold symptoms. But yeah, and then on the 27th, I went to a restaurant with my cousins and my grandparents. We went to Longhorn Steakhouse, and it was pretty nice. I had a yummy burger and fries. And it was also my grandpa's birthday. His birthday's 2 days after Christmas. And then, that was fun. We then went over to my grandparents' house, and we played some games. I played we played left, center, right, I think it's called. And I actually won on the first round. Basically, you have like 3 dice. You start with $3, and then you have like dice. If you have $3 or more, you roll 3 dice, and if you have $2, you only roll 2 dice, and then if you only have like $1 left, you only roll 1 die, and then if you don't have any money, then you know you lose your turn because you don't have any money to roll on. But basically, like there's 4 different names on the dice. There's a C for center, an L for left, and an R for right, and then a dot, which means you keep the money, and then left means you give it to the person on the left, and then right means you give it to the person on the right, and then the C for center means you put your money in the center, and the last person that has money remaining is the winner. I won when we played back in 2023. And I won again this past Christmas. I thought we weren't even going to do anything this year, but because they were supposed to go over to, my cousins were supposed to go over to our grandparents' house while we were in Houston, actually, but I think some of my cousins ended up getting sick, so they canceled, and we decided to do it after we got back, which, it does suck that they got sick, but at the same time, I'm glad that it led to it getting postponed. That way, me, my dad, and my brother didn't have to miss out on the festivities over there. We could do it as well. But yeah, left, right, center is a fun game. And then I also played Spinner. It's a dominoes game, but basically you have to link numbers together, and let's say there's a dominoes that has a two dots on it, and then on one half, and then 4 dots on the other half. If there's an edge on the on the line of dominoes, you can link, you basically link the same numbers to the dominoes. It's hard to explain, but yeah, you basically link the same number to the edge, and what you want to do is you want to actually try to get rid of as many dots as you can, and keep as few as possible. Or better yet, none. And I actually ended up with no more dominoes after the final round for me. But then my dad, decided it was time for him, me, and my brother to go home. So yeah. But it was a pretty fun game. So yeah, overall, I'd say 2025 was a pretty good year. It was a turning point in a lot of ways. Oh, I forgot to mention, but Green Ethan also came back to Discord very recently. And, I was very happy about that. Then I finally got my ID. I finally got a debit card. Yeah, it was a pretty good year. Like I said, it was basically a turning point in some ways. Oh, okay. One other thing I forgot to mention in November is my dad finally got my Social Security appointment made, and I have that coming up on January 20th. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah. I try not to get my hopes up for how good years are going to be, because I've done that before and it just leaves me feeling disappointed. So I'm going to take Ashton's advice and just trust the process. But yeah, like I said, 2025 was a pretty good year. My favorite year since 2020 is probably still 2021. because there was just a lot of fun stuff going on for me that year. Yeah, we were still in the, the pandemic, but it was still just a fun year for me. But, 2025, I don't, sometimes it can be hard to rank years, but I would definitely place it over 2024. 2024 wasn't necessarily bad, but it was very up and down, and it felt very stagnant. So, yeah, I'm happy that 2025 was more eventful. We got my ID, we got my social security appointment. So yeah, I'd say 2025 is better than 2024. Even though I do have some good memories of 2024, 2025 was just overall a better year for me. So yeah, I'd say I would give 2025, I'd say an 8.5. There were some setbacks, but there were also a lot of good things and turning points for me. So yeah, I think 8.5 or even 8.75 is a good 8.5 or 8.75 out of 10. Anyway, I think that will do it for this video. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.